Welcome to Creating Disney Magic with Lee Cockerell. Lessons in leadership, management, and customer service. You can create magic too. I'm your host, Jody Mayberry, and I'm here with Lee Cockerell. Lee, how have you been?
Hey there. All's good. Thank you. Good to see you.
Yes, always good to see you. And I'm heading off to Edmonton soon. That'll be good. It's fun to visit up north, especially
Yeah.
now that it's warmer. The last time I was there, it was 6 degrees the day I landed.
Wow. Well,
Yeah,
not so good.
that's
That's good.
a little
That
bit chilly.
yeah, that's great.
All right, Lee, I have a list of questions from the 500th episode event we did. We got so many questions in the chat from the people who were there that this is going to take us a while to get through all of these. So I will use some for some episodes and go back and forth between other topics. But for now, I have some questions set aside that people asked specifically about Disney. So I thought we could get into some of those because these could be fun. And I know if you've listened to this show for a while, so you probably know Lee is still a ambassador for Disney, a cheerleader for Disney. He loves the company still. I love the company. We're always happy to talk Disney topics. And I'm going to pull some of these, Lee. First, Doug Massey said, Lee, who is the best CEO of Disney you worked for and why?
Yeah. Well, I didn't work directly for the CEO of Disney. I worked for Al Weiss, who was the CEO and president of Disney World, and I worked. Um, Yeah, he was the one reported directly to. In fact, now I'm thinking back when I got the call in France to come. It was to come and interview with Al Weiss, who was going to be the new CEO for Walt Disney World, and so I ended up working for him directly for 13 years, and was the only one. Now I had contact with Michael Eisner and Bob Iger, and they were fine. I didn't have any issues, but I didn't do a lot of deep work with them. It was mainly with Al, and Al reported to Bob Iger and to Michael Eisner, and also we had a we had a I guess he was called chairman of all parks and resorts worldwide, which Al eventually became in that job. So he had responsibility for France and Europe and all of them. And but he was great. He was a finance guy. I think I learned from him is if you don't understand something, ask questions. Because often I would explain something to him, and Al would say, "I don't understand that. Explain it to me again. I don't think that's right." And he was often either my explanation wasn't clear or it was something that needed more clarity. So I that was good. He was very good about he absolutely made sure he understood what you were talking about, and which we all don't sometimes. We all act like we heard it, and but Al started when he was like I think 17, 18 years old. He running around rigging out the cash registers at night long before technology, and then he got his undergraduate degree and master's degree in finance, and he told me he knew he was going to be the president of Disney World someday when he was 17. He asked me what my
Wow.
goals were. I said my goal was to keep my job. So, but he knew, he was clear. He was really smart. I enjoyed working with him. Yeah.
I like what you said about him on asking questions if you don't understand, because I feel like if it's, well, either direction, if you're talking to your supervisor, you don't want to, sometimes you don't want to ask too many questions because, oh, I don't want to appear like I don't know. I don't want to give a wrong impression. And then if you're the supervisor, maybe you don't want to ask questions because you've got to keep that image that you're running things around here and you know everything. So I could see where that is such a great leadership trait to ask questions until you understand.
Well, and Meg Crofton, who was eventually president of Walt Disney World, and I worked with her. She reported me for a while. She told me once her dad told her, if you can't explain it, you don't understand it. And I thought that was a good one too. If you can't explain it, you personally don't understand it. And so, two good things to remember: ask questions and make sure you can explain what you're trying to sell.
Yes, that is great. That is great.
Yeah.
Let me move to another Disney related question. So you've talked about your time at Euro Disney back when in the day. So we have a question from France. Benjamin Plombin said, without the modern technology tools of today, how were you getting things done back then? And how did you manage to open the park on time? So before that, he referenced that he's heard stories that Euro Disney that was project was just chaos. So then hearing that, he's wondering, without modern tools, how did you keep things on track? How did you actually get the park open on time?
Well, actually, we did get it open on time, and I certainly was a lot more. There was a lot of effort, a lot of time to put in, and long hours to work to get all the details done in time. I would say and by the way, we had email. So we were communicating with email back then. Even at that time, France had email and Disney World didn't. They were still sending paper memos around in those yellow envelopes that you send from place to place. But no, I think, yeah, it was hard because it was a gigantic operation, and it depends who you were, whether it was. I think the guests generally had a good experience, and they may not like some of the products, like the food we needed to change, and some things like that that didn't fit into the culture, but. Overall, it opened. I mean, opening day was a killer. I thought I was going to die. I mean, it was hard work being on top of everything, but uh, that was more not not much to do with technology. It was just hard details to follow upon and get everybody on the same page and get thousands of people hired and trained from 5 different countries and all different languages, and menus and everything had to be in 5 languages. That's where a lot of the challenge was, and to introduce all the employees to really, I guess we would say the way Disney does things and how, what level we expect service to be. Because if you haven't been around it and don't know it, and a lot of Europeans didn't know much about Disney at all, and they weren't familiar with that. They didn't really grow up with Disney on the TV in France and UK, and so that was the main thing, is getting people on that position where excellence is in everything: your attitude, cleanliness, going out of your way to take care of the customer, even that kind of moving up from very good to really exceptional. So that was probably more of a convincing and explaining to everybody over and over and over and over again what we're looking for. But as you know, explaining is hard when you haven't experienced it. So that is always, anybody goes to Walt Disney World gets it. But if you haven't been there, you probably couldn't explain it at what level it is that a bus driver treats you the way they do, and people will walk you to the restroom to show you where it is, and yeah, so that was more of the problems was many details of convincing all brand new people to be like Disney people. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that is an interesting thought because here in the United States, people understand it. Even if you've never been to Disney World, you have a sense of what it is and what happens, and you hear the stories of the culture and the service. But when it's
Yeah.
completely new like that, I can see where that would be a big challenge.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what systems he might be talking about or my technology, because, at the end of the day, you wonder maybe the technology made service worse in the world. We were out and about in the parks, out there with the people, and the training was eyeball to eyeball. And so, yeah, that's an interesting viewpoint of his. And that's because he's young and we were old.
Yeah, it's easy when you have something to look back and say, I don't know how it ever worked without this.
Yeah, and most people had not worked at Walt Disney World either, including me. So I didn't even. We just had to adapt to get things done the best way we could. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to put one more question that is along these lines, how Disney operates. It's from Steve Brown, and he said, "I can't say that I've ever seen a Disney cast member out of uniform. How does Disney make that happen?"
Out of uniform. Well, by being clear about the rules and regulations and clarity when you hire them and having good managers who enforce the rules. You know, our people are in a certain look because we always talk about we're putting on a show, and the show has characters in it and uniforms and costumes and it's a big show. It's not like going to work at the grocery store. Although grocery stores here too have their people looking professional and all in the right costume and right in. So I think it's just it's a enforcement issue and it's a training issue and it's an expectation that people understand they have to do that. They have to be in their correct professional uniform and look. You get what you want. Anybody can do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
anybody can do it.
Clear expectations. And
Absolutely.
yes. Okay. Well, since we're talking about Disney World, Disneyland Paris, if you want to go to either of those places, you should call our friends at Magical Vacation Planner. You can reach them at 407-442-2694 or go to leecockerell.com and there is a banner right there on the website that you can click on. And Lee, with you just recently had a significant birthday, had a significant milestone with the podcast. So we had somebody ask, Bill Renault asked, what is next for Lee? So Lee, that came up a couple of times. People just wondering, what in the world are you up to? What is next for you in the coming years?
Yeah, you know, I'm really focused now on enjoying getting calls to where I'm teaching and doing speeches and having workshops, and I really like that a lot. And more and more I'm getting. I got a request yesterday from Mexico and one from Brazil, and I have to get Priscilla back on her feet with her bad back, so she'll let me travel. But we're working on a plan for that too. And I've got a group of high school students I've been hired to go talk to in Tampa about the kinds of things they need to know that are uh, as they are getting ready to go out in the real world and go to college. And so I am really enjoying passing that kind of stuff along not only young people, but I hear from older people too. Said I wish I'd have known this stuff back when I was that age, and so I will tell you more and more I get my satisfaction from the passing on good information and teaching, and I see the emotional connection with people when they hear something they never thought about because they're young, they haven't had the experience, they haven't gone through it, and so they look at this old guy and say, "Well, he knows a lot going on." I said, "Yeah, I do, because I'm old. I've been around, man. I've worked in six decades."
Eh,
So it's fun. It's fun, and it gives me a lot of satisfaction, and people pay me. So that's
And you have credibility with younger people because you personally know Mickey Mouse.
yeah, that's true. I mean, anytime I'm around with a Mickey pin on or something, I get treated better. So that's what I do. It's good.
When I am giving speeches or at conferences on my lapel, I followed Lee's lead. He always wears an American
Mickey.
of Mickey. So it's the shape of Mickey's head, but looks like a flag, has the colors of the flag. Well, I wear Lee's leadership pin that he gave me, and people ask about it almost every time I wear it, Lee. Someone will come up and say, what's that pin for?" And I
Uh,
say, "Well, I wear it for two reasons. One, and I tell them it's Lee Cockerell's leadership pin from his time at Disney. I wear it as a tribute to Lee, and I wear it because every time I do, someone comes up and asks about it, and it's a good way to start a conversation."
It is, and I think everybody ought to figure out some kind of pen or something to wear, just maybe about anything. And I think what you just said was right. Starts a conversation, and which is fun. Breaks the
Yeah,
ice.
it
Yeah.
does. Yeah, it is. It's always fun to do that, to wear it and start a conversation that probably wouldn't have happened because I think sometimes, yeah, people are curious about that, but they're looking for a reason to talk to you, and that's an easy icebreaker. What's that? What's your pin about?
Absolutely. That's great.
Yeah. And speaking of younger people, I had the podcast going for my son's first year of college. Every day there was a new message for him. It was called In the Front Row. I'm not doing it now because he's home for the summer. But Lee had a message for my son almost every week. And it was my son was telling me someone at school asked him, who's this Lee Cockerell fellow? And my son said, "Oh, he's kind of like my grandfather." So
He's a, and he's a college dropout giving me college advice.
oh man. Well, it's good. It's the advice you keep putting out, Lee, just keeps getting better, I think. The more that you keep thinking about it and what you have to offer and what you experienced, I think it just keeps getting better. So I'm happy to be here with you on these episodes and the live events that we do, and look forward to announcing more of what's coming up. If you
And
have a question, oh yeah.
I might add one thing as I think about that while you're saying that. Our listeners, I really recommend they don't underestimate what they know too, and get out there and get up to the high schools and the different places to talk to young people and pass that along, because the students are eager to hear from people who actually do it, and may trigger them wanting to do the kind of work you have. If you're a lawyer, go up and talk to the students. If you're a doctor, if you're any job, because it really is. Teachers tell me there's better attendance when somebody from the outside comes for the day. So
Yeah.
I really do
And
that.
you could expose a high school student to a career path they didn't even know existed. My
Right.
my daughter always thought took a trip to Yellowstone and we went and watched an interpretive talk. And afterwards, she asked me questions about why wasn't the park ranger wearing a gun and all. And I said, "Oh, because it's not a law enforcement ranger." That's what she thought of because I was a law enforcement ranger. And all of a sudden, being exposed to an interpretive ranger made her realize, oh, there's a completely different path that I could do if I wanted to be a park ranger. And it's just because she got exposed to something she did not know was available. But if you go and talk to schools, then maybe now they could say, "Oh, I could be an attorney. I could be a plumber, a welder, a bookkeeper."
Right.
They just don't know.
Absolutely. That's good. Thank you.
All right, good talk, Lee. Thank you for listening to Creating Disney Magic. Now go out and create magic in your organization.